Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we are looking at a Wii knife. It's a pretty cool one. It's one that I've been interested in for a while, but just haven't gotten my hands on because it's not actually, despite the fact that I really like the design and I really like the designer, I don't like the size on this guy, okay? So I'm going to put that out there right away, and I'm going to try not to mention it as much as I sometimes do, although there's a bit of an excitement here because there's a potential for an XL version. I've heard rumblings, and it sounds actually like it's pretty likely to happen. So let me adjust things a little bit there. This is visiting from Daily Pocket Dumps. Go over to give him a follow on Instagram. This is a beautiful knife. Okay, I have to say, my very first thought when I look at this is it's a piece of functional artwork. It's gorgeous. We're going to talk about some of the things that make it so attractive. But I have to say, Gavco has done a great job with this design, and Wii has done a great job implementing it. It's just too small, guys. Okay, so I'm really kind of excited about the potential for an XL version of this. Um, so that's the first thing I wanna throw out there. And so with that in mind, let's take a quick look at how big this knife actually is. All right, there you go. We got a ruler here. You can see it comes in at basically 7 inches right on, 3 inches of blade, 4 inches of handle. In terms of cutting edge, we've got just a little over 2.5 inches. And in terms of handle length, I mean, in terms of, I already said handle length is 4 inches. But what I meant to say was grip area. Now, grip area is a little lacking, and that's typical of smaller knives. We've got a little over 3 inches of grip area there, so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for someone with larger hands. Which I don't know how big my hands are actually, but nonetheless, I don't find I can get a really good grip or a comfortable position on the handle just in a saber grip like this. If I choke up though, this does work really well. There's a bit of a swale for your thumb. And so it works if you have larger hands. This is still definitely a potential option for you if you're okay with the 2.5 inches of cutting edge, which is for me not enough for what I want out of an EDC knife. All right, before we leave that, let me grab the scale here. By the way, we'll come back and talk about ergonomics a little bit more after I get through size and weight. So there you go, 3.5 inches. Let's try 3.5 ounces. I don't know what happened there. My brain and my mouth are disconnected. Okay, move a little piece of wood shaving out of the way there too. Okay, so back to the knife itself. Again, this is a pretty comfortable carry knife. If you're used to carrying smaller knives, I think you're going to be just fine with this. 3.5 ounces for a 7-inch knife is a little heavy, but it's a full titanium frame lock. Okay, if you take a look in there, there's no milling to relieve that at all. So they probably could get it a little bit lighter, but again, why bother? It's not heavy. So let's go ahead and get into some of the details on this absolutely stunning knife. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. This is one of the nicest looking Wii knives out there. Great looking Gavco design. And I'm, I think the swedge here is sort of the serving as the fin there for that's giving it the name, the high fin. All right, let's talk about this blade. We have 20 CV steel with a pretty heavy stonewash on it, a pretty dark stonewash. In fact, it is a hollow grind, and it's not super thick blade stock to begin with. So this is going to slice like crazy. And I actually have a little, I've got a pipe insulator here, but what's great about this is it crushes easily. Okay, so it gives you pretty good feedback when you're pushing with a knife to kind of see how it cuts. Okay, you can sort of get a sense for, I guess I shouldn't be supporting it, but there's not a whole lot of, maybe I'll show you this way. How about I don't know, this is the first time on camera, so if this is a total fail, I'm not going to edit it out. I'm not going to cut it out, right? I'm not going to edit it out, but you can see this cuts pretty easily. If you got some tomatoes to deal with. To give you an idea, here's another very aggressive hollow grind on the Tuya Voodoo. Okay, so That's already a spot I cut. Put these side by side so you can get an idea. Very, very close. And if I switch to like a bit of a flat grind there. Right, now this is a very high flat grind on the military, but should just give you a little bit of a sense that this slices like crazy. And when this comes out in an XL version, I'm assuming they're going to continue with the hollow grind. I hope they do. I hope they make it with a thicker blade stock and then a thin hollow grind. I kind of have a thing for that style of knife. You know, here's the Yojumbo, very thick, hefty blade stock, and that aggressive hollow grind. That's my favorite combination for a blade grind. So, starting off with that hollow grind, we've got nice top swedge here with a bit of a reverse tanto blade top swedge here, almost a harpoon-ish type of inspiration. All right, very, very attractive blade. Now, I have to say this. I know you guys are probably going to be like, Kevin, shut up about that already. But listen, hear me out. If this had a satin grind and you had these beautiful grind lines here and here and they were multi-directional, imagine how cool this would look. Especially for blades that have a few really interesting angles going on like this one does, I find a satin grind just makes those angles pop and makes them stand out that much more. Well, this still looks great. The overall aesthetic of this is beautiful. The darker stonewash goes with the dark stonewash on the handle. So the look of this really is complete, and it feels just the way it should with the dark stonewash. But I could definitely see a satin blade popping quite a lot as well. Okay, we've got a thumb stud here. The thumb stud is nice and accessible. All right. For a small knife, sometimes I have issues with deploying smaller knives. Not so with this. It's a little awkward, and I do kind of get my fingers a little bit on the lock bar when I go to Spidey flick this, but it still works just great. The lock bar, the thumb stud is nice and accessible. The detent is tuned pretty well, perfectly. All right, now we can talk about the lock bar. The lock bar is accessible. You can see the insert right there. And we've got a nice drop shut action that we're used to seeing from WE knives. All right, no issue with that at all. It is, single row ceramic bearings. This is pretty much standard WE pivot implementation. Okay, and they do a good job, so why change? All right, and again, this is not, if this was meant to be like a hard use knife or a tactical knife or something like that, and maybe in the XL version, if anyone from WE ever watches this, I'm sure they don't care what I'm saying about this here, but if you do, a dual row ceramic bearing system would be great on the larger version, just to give some extra strength and stability for that larger blade. Okay, so let's move down to the handle. We've got these bright blue anodized, hardware. All right. And then the most gorgeous dark blue stonewash that I have ever seen. It is absolutely perfect. The way this catches the light and just it really, really gives the illusion that there's depth to the handle material. Like, it almost looks like the way a carbon fiber handle looks, where you can see through the resin a little bit. It really, really looks fantastic. And I've said this before, I've had a few other WE knives that had a similar finish, and they really are doing a great job. Absolutely beautiful. And the way this ties in with the dark stonewash on the blade really makes for a complete overall look that is really great. All right, the clip here is a milled clip, typical, sort of milled clip with the same functionality as a bent clip. All right, we've got a standoff back here. There's the blade stop right there. I'll give you a look from the back when the knife is deployed. All right, you can see the interface there. Nothing's going on here that we haven't seen before. All right, so pretty typical stuff. The titanium is 3D machined, so that makes it feel a little better in hand for sure. But when we talk about this handle, ergonomics is definitely going to be a consideration, at least for me to feel comfortable on this, I really do have to choke up. Now, in this position, it feels great. All right. And for this style of knife, this is probably appropriate for most people. There might be somebody out there with a much smaller hand than me that somehow two fingers sort of fit in this swale. But for me, it kind of lands, it's sort of a three-finger knife if I hold it, in the sort of choke down position. If I move my index finger up, then everything lines up really, really nicely in the sort of choked up grip. All right. Now, and so ergonomically, it's tough to say. It's very comfortable like this. It feels like I could get a lot of work done. I have no issue whatsoever. Back here, it just feels awkward and kind of wrong. But you clearly, this knife is designed to be kind of choked up on and held that way. So I can't really say anything negative in that regard. All right. For comparisons, now I have to say, guys, I don't have a lot of comparisons. So I'll just quickly reiterate what we've covered in terms of the features and performance. Hollow grind makes it slice great, blade steel, great edge retention, choked up position, the ergonomics are nice. And so overall, we have a beautiful knife that also functions very, very well. All right. The one knife that I have that sort of kind of it has a similar feel to it is the Tuya Voodoo. Hollow grind, similar, feels a little bit better choked up than in a standard grip. But it's quite a bit bigger, okay, and because of that, a little more in my wheelhouse. And the look, I have to say, in terms of aesthetic viewing here, well, I really like the Tuya. The Gavco is a little more aesthetically pleasing. All right, let's get that guy out of the way. This little Civivi, I can't remember the name of this model right now. Doesn't matter. Someone put it in the comments if you don't mind. If I think of it, I'll put it in the comments myself. But this is one of the smaller knives that I have in my collection. Certainly reminiscent of the Elementum, but just a little bit bigger. What else have I got? That's not a good comparison. That's too big. You already saw. I guess we'll call it a day with that, guys. Sorry, I don't have a lot of knives that fit this exact look very, very well outside of the Tuya. But there aren't really also a lot of competitive options for this because this is a very design forward knife. Like the person who buys this is buying it because they want a Gavco design and they want something that's really interesting and unique and well built. This is very much a collector knife. And so there's not a lot that you could put beside it other than other Gavco collaborations, and I don't have any of those. All right. Very nice knife, absolutely a joy to get to handle this, to share it with you guys. And even though I would not buy and carry this knife, I can absolutely appreciate the design here and the quality that We has pulled off in putting it together. And so I have to say I really, really like this, even though it's definitely on the small end of the scale for me. But if you're a small knife guy, this is a home run. Really, really good if you already like small knives. The way this feels in the choked up position, the materials, the finish, and the looks of this are absolutely fantastic. All right, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.